Hello everybody, welcome to another day here at the Untitled Mafio Show. Might be titled The Mafio Show or something with the word Mafio in it, or MaffmanJones. Still producing that part of the show, and it will happen. I promise. But today we do have a lot of things to talk about, and if you haven't seen by my thumbnail, apparently Keanu Reeves is a big golden legend. Like, as he always has been, but now the internet realizes that. And he's a human being. He has flaws, he's imperfect like everybody else in this world, but it is cool to see a guy who does put out positivity out there, having positivity brought back in. But we do have some things I do want to talk about, some trailers, we got a couple announcements, and also something that just came up that probably isn't a thing, but it might be a thing. So first, let's talk about the Keanu Reeves renaissance that's going on right now. So he's been in some things lately. This year, he's having a big year. He was just announced to be in Cyberpunk 2077. It's a video game he's playing this character named Johnny Silverhand, and he looks incredible. He was in Always Be My Maybe as a side character, playing himself. He was in the third John Wick movie, starring as John Wick. He's just starting to film Bill and Ted 3, Face the Music, which I'm over the moon for. Don't really talk about them that much, but they're some of the underrated highlight gems of my childhood, and I love both movies, even Bogus Journey, which apparently gets some slack for some reason, but come on, Station? Come on, The Reaper, played by William Sadler? The special effects? The twins? Like, the babes? Come on. But yeah, I really enjoyed those movies, and I'm glad to see Keanu Reeves coming back into the fold again, and the dude, he's just a normal person. He makes a lot of money, he makes a lot of movies, but he's always been humble. But if you know by his past, he's had a really tragic past. He lost his wife, and he lost his kid, who was stillborn in delivery, which, I mean, just getting into that, and he lost his best friend, one of his best friends, who apparently he was really close with River Phoenix back in the 90s, and 80s, I guess, before he passed away in the 90s, and it's really, a lot you can go into that, but on the internet, for those who don't follow the internet that much, and I even made my little board recently, a Keanu Reeves themed one. People have been talking about him every time he does something that's remotely humane. It's put out there. He'll help somebody on a train, let them sit in the subway. He'll travel across the way in a broken bus with a group of people to get to where they have to go. He just all around seems like a really nice, down-to-earth guy. But when a celebrity is down to earth to that level, it apparently is mythological. And Double Toasted, Corey Martin did talk about this. If you don't follow Double Toasted, you should. They're a great movie show, do great reviews there. And they kind of brought the situation down a little bit where, yeah, it's cool he's doing all these things, but some people like make it out to be like the greatest thing in the world. Because on the internet, you're either the greatest thing or the worst thing. There's no in between. And Keanu Reeves is now, he's up there in the heavens right now, which is great. It's amazing. But if he does anything remotely inhuman now, it's going to be a big deal because, so he's not as good or positive as people say or have said? I thought he was an angel. So just, it's great. I love this. I'm super excited for Bill and Ted 3. And if you haven't seen it, I didn't mention it the last episode, but Always Be My Maybe is a great little rom-com that's on Netflix. And Randall Park and Ali Wong are great in it. The supporting cast is incredible. The one who plays Randall Park's father is my favorite. And if you haven't seen it and you have Netflix, I would check it out. And also, if you haven't seen John Wick 3 and you're a fan of action movies, don't sleep on that. Go watch that movie now. Next, we have a couple trailers. First, we had the trailer for Frozen Dos. It seems like they're still continuing on the dark path story-wise and leading us to believe that something, not bad, but something ominous is going on. Frozen 1 is regarded as one of the biggest family movies of this current decade. And it does have its dark elements, but it's mostly a light-hearted movie. I think it delves into deeper themes. And obviously there's like things like that happen with the family that are usually in the tragic backstories of anime Disney characters. But it's fluffy, I would say. It's light, like snow, like Olaf. This one seems like they're delving in further into the world of Frozen and our characters, but also it's retaining that ominous element. It is. And I don't know if that's going to represent the tone of the movie or if they're just trying to set this to get people in the mindset. So if some dark stuff happens, then we're prepared for it. Or if we're going to get some more comedy bits. Like, obviously, Olaf's going to be levity, comedy relief. But I'm not excited for the trolls. The trolls are my least favorite part of the first movie. So the fact that they're coming back, even if it's a small role, I'm like, do you need them? I guess you do. Whatever. Some people like trolls, I'm sure. I just don't. I don't vibe with that. Um, but the trailer is a good trailer. It is. It gives you the idea that something bigger is going on here, over our characters, and they're gonna expand on maybe the seasons. So we're gonna get summer, fall, spring, maybe. I don't know. I like the trailer, and it beautifully animated. There are a couple of moments there with Elsa. I almost said Anna. It's not Anna, but with Elsa, where it looked like it's 2D animation, where it's creating the silhouette of animals and creatures, and it reminded me of the new Mary Poppins, and it looked really, really nice. And I hope we get more of that kind of thing in anime movies. If we're gonna kill sketching in 3D, at least implement it into your 3D animated movies, because it's a lost art form now, and we need more of it. Next, we have Doctor Sleep, which is the trailer for the sequel book to The Shining, written by Stephen King. This is directed by Mike Flanagan, who's done some movies like Oculus. He also did House Haunting. No, I'm sorry. I almost called it The House on Haunted Hill, but it's not that. Even though that movie's fun in its own right. He directed the miniseries on Netflix called The Haunting of Hill House, and it's one of my favorite shows. I wouldn't say ever. I almost said that, but it's really worth your while if you're a fan of horror and connected family stories that are really resonant. And it was produced by Amblin, which I didn't find out till after the credits, because I stayed through the entire credits, and you saw that the logo with E.T. going over the moon with Elliot, and I was like, what? They were involved in this? But it makes sense once you watch the show, because it starts out spooky, and then there's more going on there with the family, and I actually maybe teared once or twice. Dr. Sleep trailer, though. Ewan McGregor is playing Danny Torrance, and apparently he's going back to the Overlook Hotel, and Rebecca Ferguson is around, and I thought she would be a good person, but she seems to be a bad person. That little face she makes, that facial expression she makes in that trailer, whew. Like, I like her, but damn. I like the camera work that's going on here. I like the ominous tone they're setting, and with the music cue at the end that lets you know full-heartedly, if you didn't already know, based on the moment where Ewan McGregor replicates the moment with Jack Nicholson where he puts his face through the hole in the axe door and looks into the room where his mother was screaming her ass off. This is a sequel to The Shining, the movie and the book, apparently. How they're going to do that, I don't know. I haven't read the book to The Shining nor Dr. Sleep. I might do that before this comes out in the fall, but this does raise a lot of questions, and I think this trailer does a great job of letting you know exactly what it is and then raising a whole bunch of questions without telling you exactly what's going on, especially with these weird characters that aren't the whatever group that Rebecca Ferguson is with seems very strange for one reason or another. I heard maybe something involving vampires, but I didn't read the book, so I don't know. And if you do know, don't spoil it, but I don't know if I'm hot or warm here. So we're going to have to see what happens. But this trailer really got me excited. It did. I've been excited for this from the get-go because of Mike Flanagan and because it's a sequel to the frickin' Shining. And also because Mike Flanagan has a great grip on horror. If you haven't seen Gerald's Game or the show I just mentioned, Haunting of Hill House, you would understand that this guy knows what to do and how to push all the right buttons and making a great horror experience, but also making a great movie or TV show. So we'll have to see about that, but I really liked what we saw here. Really quick announcement, but it happened a couple days ago. Apparently, Blumhouse is creating a new remake of Black Christmas, which will be coming out during Christmas time, because it's not going to come out in February. We know nothing about it except that it exists, and I saw the last one that came out in 2005, 2006. I'm having a blank spot here, and it starred the girl from Eurotrip and a couple other people. I almost said Carrie Fisher, but Carrie Fisher was in Sorority's Row. Am I wrong? I feel like I have a decent grip on my horror movies, but I might be wrong there. But I'm excited for this because Krampus is a really good movie, in my opinion, and we don't have enough like mainstream Christmas movies. So this might not be good. It might just be like the slasher. It's one of the first slashers in the genre from when it was first made decades ago. But if this is a fun time like Halloween 2018 was, which I'll be fine with that, because I gotta be honest, looking back on Halloween 2018, I wouldn't say it's a great movie, but as a horror movie in that genre and as a sequel to the first two Halloweens, it's no, right? No, it's a sequel to the first Halloween. I'm getting confused because there's been so many movies and they just keep naming themselves the same. It's Halloween 1978, Halloween 2018, blah, 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 blah. But if it's a fun time with a decent cast and it's one of those pick off one by ones and it knows exactly what it is, I think we're gonna have a really fun movie on our hands. And I'm always a fan of simple, fun horror. This could be it. If it's trying to be something more than that, it might get a little complicated, but we'll see. Now let's get into the other big topic of the day, or just in general. It has nothing to do with movies, but it might eventually have something to do with movies if it actually catches a lot of fire. So, yesterday, as I'm recording this, it was a couple days ago after this releases, but as I'm recording this, Marvel Entertainment put out a teaser poster of the number 4 in webs and a spider on it. And people immediately, I was texted by a friend of mine this too, and people immediately put their thoughts to Spider-Man 4. Now, why would Spider-Man 4 be involved in anything? The Tobey Maguire movies ended in 2007, and we moved on twice with 2 different actors over the past few years. Well, if you were around and you followed this heavily, like I did, I remember the whole thing going through from 2009 to early 2010, the trajectory of having Spider-Man 4 being in production to not being in production to being canceled completely, and then having them announce we're going to remake Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield. Woo! It was so quick in those 3 or 4 months. We knew everything. We knew that John Malkovich was going to be the Vulture, and we had Anne Hathaway as the Vultress, which I was never a fan of, but it could have been cool. We're going to have Mysterio, apparently, when we had the leaked storyboards come out, that you're going to find out that Bruce Campbell, who was in all 3 of these movies with Sam Raimi, was going to end up being Quentin Beck himself, which I think is awesome. And he would have been in the first scene or 2, being arrested. What this seems to be, if this isn't, I hate getting my hopes up, but let's, for the sake of this show, because it's a movie show, let's say this isn't some weird crossover with the Fantastic Four, just comic book sakes. A few years ago, they made a one-off with Star Wars, the original Ralph McQuarrie art and the original script that was almost completely different from the Star Wars that we know and love. And apparently, it sold really well. I didn't know that, but I found out on Twitter that it did. So maybe they have an idea now they can, and they got the rights and the liberty to take the script off the shelf for Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 4 and make a comic out of it. If that's what's happening here, color me so excited, and I need this right now. I do. Some people have been making video essays about the Sam Raimi movies recently. High Top Alex is somebody I follow, and I think he made an incredible video essay on the first Amazing. My mind is just so scrambled. He made a video essay about the first Spider-Man from 2002, and he beautifully encapsulates in thoughts what this movie means, what it means to a lot of people, and just to the world of cinema, and how great of a movie it is. And some people don't like it, but you can't deny once you watch this video, which I'll link down below, it's eloquently said, and it makes sense. And he's making them for the next 2 movies too, which I'm looking forward to those too. But the love for Sam Raimi hasn't died. There's a whole subreddit about Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies out there, and memes come out of there all the time. So obviously the people still love these movies. I don't think we're ever going to get another Spider-Man movie with Tobey Maguire and Kirsten Dunst and the following cast. Rosemary Harris as Aunt May and so on and so forth. Cliff Robertson can't because he's passed away now as Uncle Ben. But if we can get a comic, like a 3 or 4, 5 mini-issue run of the script that was supposed to be turned into Spider-Man 4, which was supposed to come out in May of 2011, I mean, for those of us who care, this would be an incredible thing to have, and an incredible thing to read, just as insight. Because the whole thing of what could have been is always a thing that might stick with you for certain movies that never happen, but to have this would be a cool little thing, just a little memento, like, oh, this is what would have happened if this remake didn't happen and we didn't go to the MCU, Marvel, and blah, 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 blah. But there is a lot of fire catching, also about just the Raimi movies in general and Tobey Maguire. And people who growing up now wouldn't have the same reverence for Tobey Maguire. I grew up with him, and so I have some bias. I do, and some nostalgia. I do think, though, from my critical analysis, that the first two Spider-Man movies are the best ones that we've ever gotten, and we probably ever will, because they were self-contained movies with their own stories, and they just expanded on themes and told great character stories. The music by Danny Elfman is one of the best musical scores. It's just everything came together so well back then. Even if it was from 2002, even if it is dated, so dated is fine. Superman 78 is dated too. Batman 89 is dated too, but they're great movies in their own right. And those first two Spider-Man movies are so good. So in this climate of movies, you can technically make a Spider-Man 4 with Raimi and Tobey and Kirsten and whoever else is going to be involved. And it'll be fine. It could be a one-off like Logan. We had a movie like Logan, which was his own thing, told its own story, and it was a nice send-off for Hugh Jackman as Wolverine and Sir Patrick Stewart as Professor X, and that was it. So, even though we're living in a time where Tom Holland Spider-Man is prevalent, and we're having these Spider-Man movies that are very popular right now, Sony, if given the chance, I'm sure can make a fourth Spider-Man movie that's its own thing, that just kind of is a little, hey, remember these guys? And also is a send-off for Tobey Maguire. Because even though I think Spider-Man 3 actually has a really melancholic and beautiful ending, despite what people say about Spider-Man 3, I think there are some great things, and the ending is one of them, where I remember being really, really taken away and taken aback by the ending of that, because I was expecting a final swing. Like, this is the last Spider-Man movie, you're going to get a final swing, right? And it was like, no. It wasn't. It was just a little somber dance between MJ and Peter, and it took me a couple years to really sink into why that's what happened. And for the story, it made a lot of sense. And the more times I watch it, with the musical score by Christopher Young, who was a great replacement for Danny Elfman, and just the way the scene turned out in the story that was a lot about forgiveness, it was a really nice ending for those movies. It doesn't tell you what's going to happen afterwards, but the thought of it really gets your mind going, and it's really thought-provoking. It's beautiful. It really is, in my opinion. So, will we get a Spider-Man 4 in the theaters one day? I don't think so. Will we get a Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie in the future? I wouldn't say never, but I think it's very, very unlikely. But if we're going to get a comic book of the movie that was supposed to happen but didn't happen, I think it's an incredible thing to have. And that's it. That's really it for me. I guess that's it today. I didn't mention it before, but earlier today I went to the doctor's office, and this is a quick story. The assistant did the blood pressure for me, and apparently it was really low. She did it twice, and it was low. She said, it's way too low. I'm not going to listen to that. And I was like, way too low? My blood pressure's been fine for my whole life so far. A couple of hiccups that have been fixed along the way. So she's like, all right, I'm going to get the doctor. She'll be here in a few minutes. So for the next 5, 6, 7 minutes, my mind was spinning, man. I went through for a majority of my life, what would happen if I do have low blood pressure, if it's dangerously low, what do I gotta do? What if I die? What if, I went way too far with this. And then my doctor came in and did the same thing and said, nope, you seem pretty perfect. The blood pressure machine is working just fine, and you have almost perfect blood pressure, so you're good. And then all my fears just wiped away. But in those 5, 6 minutes, I thought the worst. And it's nothing to do with what I just talked about for the last 20 minutes or so. But I just wanted to get that out there. But yeah, I guess that's it for today. Thank you for watching today. I want to know what you guys think of the Frozen 2 trailer and Dr. Sleep trailer. Are you going to see either of these movies? What do you think of Keanu Reeves? Do you think he's a heaven sent like everybody else on social media seems to think? I think so too, but I've always thought that. And I think he seems like a cool dude, and I would love to have a beer with him. That's it. And Spider-Man 4. Do you care about this? Would you see another Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie? Would you rather just have Tom Holland movies continue for the next 5, 10 years or so? Or what do you think of the comic? Would you read the comic if it came out? Or would you rather see something else translated? Maybe have the actual script come out? Like, what do you think about this in general? Because I think it's a really interesting concept where social media backings a la Deadpool, which, thanks to social media, became a movie. They released the previs. It was like a 5-minute previs pitch that was awesome, and people spread it like wildfire. And then a year or two later, we had Deadpool come out in theaters, and it was the biggest R-rated blockbuster of all time, and at that moment. And I think if you do get enough attention for this, and Sam Raimi wants to come back and do it, and Toby wants to come back and do it, and Kristen Dunst, and so on and so forth, I think it can happen, but the spark has to be ignited the right way. It can't just, all the pieces have to fall into the right place. If it does happen, I don't have the words for that, because those movies mean more to me than anything. Even Star Wars. And Star Wars is my favorite thing. It's Spider-Man, Star Wars, Indiana Jones. Those are my 3 hallmarks of franchises. But yeah, let me know anything you want in any of those topics down below. That's it for today. I'll be back next week with more. Hopefully we get more about this Spider-Man thing. I will be more than happy to talk more about this if we actually get an official announcement very soon. I don't know when the announcement's coming. I'm waiting for it. More trailers, more Keanu Reeves stuff. Maybe we'll have something else. They just announced Star Wars. They announced when the celebration is going to be next year, and I'll talk about that on the Star Wars show very soon. And that's it. Thank you for watching. Subscribe, ring that bell, comment down below, do all that fun stuff. And I'll see you next time. Cheers. Where everybody knows your name.